All right, so let's start sitting in Sukhasana. And using those arms alongside, lengthening up, space coming between the vertebrae, space in the hip sockets. Whatever squinging you want to do. And then back to the center, slowly releasing with the arms pouring down the sides of the neck, off the tops of the shoulders, out to the fingertips, reaching wide on the diagonal with the arms. And we'll breathe the arms out. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. And we'll do that twice. And then changing the cross of the legs. Let's come forward and over. Breathing wide across the back of the body. And if you want to do any more squinging here, do that. Really feeling your breath, feeling your body. Maybe finding what feels good this morning and breathing into that. We often talk about finding the stuck places and stiff places and breathing there, but you can also sort of get to the same point of greater openness and ease sometimes by going into the places that feel good and letting that sort of permeate your being this morning. And then we'll come up, unfurling the spine vertebrae by vertebrae, back up on top of the sitting bones. Inhale and exhale. And just take another breath or two. Being very present with what is for you at this moment. And then let's slide the legs straight out in front. In Dandasana, a rod or a stick pose. I get better if I sit straight. All right. And using the arms alongside, giving a little lift, coming forward and over any amount. Not going to be here that long, just sort of to get a little better settled in. And then coming back up. And let's twist to the right. So I'm still being the right-left mirror. Inhale, lots of space. Exhale, twisting right. Lengthening up through the top of the head. including the whole spine, the belly, the waist, the ribs, the shoulders, the neck, and the head. And sliding the ribs, front of the right ribs back, back of the left ribs forward. And take a moment to consider your legs there, reaching forward evenly through both feet. Lift a little taller back to the center. Let's go to the other side, twisting left. Inhale and exhale. Settling into the twist on this side. Lengthening out through the top of the head a little more. Feeling the whole spine participating in the twist. And those sliding ribs, front of the left back, back with the right forward. Considering your legs, reaching through those legs forward, sort of in the opposite direction of your twist. Lift a little taller, come back to the center. Let's come forward and over. And then coming up, and we'll do our ripples here with the straight legs. Try to go sideways. Rippling over and up. And if you feel like you have way too little mobility keeping those legs straight, you can always put a bend in the knees or do the cross legs. But see if you can do it with the straight legs, even though there might be a little less rippling, a little less range of motion and easefulness for you here than in the cross leg. I don't know, maybe this is easier. See if you can switch the direction. And then we will finish with this rippling in the next breath or two. Arriving back up on top of the sitting bones, long through the top of the head. Inhale and exhale. We'll just give those legs a short pull back to Baddha Konasana, the butterfly pose. You can give a lift up and over from behind or holding on to the ankles and shins, whatever you want to do here. Going in the lateral direction again. It's sort of a little counter pose to all that straight leg twisting and rippling. Ah. And then we will come up in downward facing dog. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Maybe taking a little time really thinking about the arms, getting those placed while you're on all fours, or coming down to all fours and giving them a little regroup and reset as needed. And once you're a downward facing dog, walking the dog, or anything else you want to do here. And then here we are in the best downward facing dog of this moment, nothing moving but the breath. Coming down, sitting back in child's pose. And then coming back up, downward facing dog. We'll see if we can do the reaching the arm for the opposite leg here. So it's generally a little more accessible, a little easier to do it if you have your feet and hands closer to each other, a shorter downward facing dog, and or the feet wider, a little bit wider, maybe a lot wider than hip distance apart. All right, so here we are, downward facing dog. And then we'll take a look under our right arm and reach the left hand for that outer right calf, ankle, whatever it can get hold of. Or maybe the left hand is on the floor there in the middle of the mat. And back to the center. Let's try the other side. Right hand to the left leg. Let yourself have a little twist, looking under the left arm. And then we'll come back to center, though if you're still playing around with this, figuring it out, continue. And at some point, we'll be back in a downward facing dog and take a breath or two there. And coming back into child's pose. And then let's take a slide out onto our stomach into this space. Pulling back with the elbows long through the top of the head, long through the collarbones. Breathing here. Feeling a reach through the legs. And maybe you can lighten up on the elbows. Maybe they'll lift up off the floor. Maybe not. And if you want to get a bigger lift and stretch, you can adjust where the hands are so you can get a little more lift and spaciousness. In general, the hands being a little further from you and or a little wider apart makes that lifting up a little easier. And we'll take a couple more breaths here in some kind of cobra version. And then coming down, taking a couple breaths, forehead on the chin or hands. And then we'll peel ourselves up and coming up and downward facing dog. And through the vinyasa, any version you want. Coming forward to the plank. Let's see. I think I'm going to Asta Namaskar, knees, chest, chin, if you want to come along with me doing that. And then we'll all meet up once again in downward facing dog. Deep breath here. And looking between the hands to jump or step forward. Into the concave back, halfway up. Reaching out and over. Breathing 3, 2, and 1. And coming all the way up to standing, big front body yawn. Pressing the arms down long through the top of the head. And then here we are at the front of the mat. Let's circle the shoulders 3 times. 3, 2, 1. Other direction. One more front to the back, interlocking the fingers. And lifting the chest to lift the chin. And coming forward and over. And releasing the hands. Concave back, folding over. Let's step back with the left leg so that we're in the right lunge. Taking a few breaths there, nice strong left leg. Easing that left knee down to the floor. We'll keep our hands on the floor or maybe up on your knee if you want a little more. Just focusing on stretching and lengthening in the front of that left thigh. Maybe pulling a little more forward than you usually do when we're standing up in the Jayasana. And we will make our way back up to downward facing dog. Deep breath. And through the vinyasa any version. And downward facing dog. And let's lift our right leg up. And then the new dog at the high fire hydrant. Big inhale and exhale through to the lunge. And then we'll ease the left knee down, and this time we'll come up into Anjaneyasana with our arms up overhead. So we're in the right lunge again. Breathing those arms all the way around and back up overhead. Namaste in front. And then reaching inside your left leg, coming around into the elephant rider. Elbows or lower arms on those inner top thighs there, pressing out. Whatever little shifting and squinging you want to do here. And then pressing the feet into the floor, coming up to the 3-pointed star. Pulling wide in temple pose. There we go. And pouring over, turning to the lunge at the front of the mat again to step forward. Into the concave back, folding over, take a breath. Coming up to standing, big front body. Pressing the arms down, long through the top of the head. All right, so we'll just do one circle with the shoulders each direction. Front to the back, back to the front. One more front to the back and interlocking the fingers again. Lengthening up the front of the body. And coming forward and over. And release the hands. Concave back, inhale and exhale. And we'll step back with the right leg so that we're in the left lunge. Breathing here, half a plank, nice strong right leg. And easing the right knee down. And so just staying here with the hands on the floor, really stretching into the front of the right hip, pulling further forward than you usually do, if that's all right for your knees and various other joints. And then coming back up to downward facing dog. Through the vinyasa. And downward facing dog. And we will lift our left leg up. Bending the knee dog at the high fire hydrant. Big inhale and exhale through to the lunge. So we're on the left lunge again. And then easing that right knee down, coming up in an Jayasana. Breathing those arms all the way around and back up overhead. Namaste. And reaching inside, turning to the elephant rider. Then let's do a big slide back and forth. So maybe make your feet a little wider. Heels under the knees, or maybe even a little further, feet a little further out than the knees. So as we slide across to the right toward the back of the mat, you can put your left hand on the floor, right arm on the right leg, if that works for you. And then we'll slide across to the left. So we're not trying to go especially down, we're going wide, sliding across in more or less a parallel line. And then, of course, now that you know that, maybe you're taking a quick sink down into the low side lunge, or not. We'll do one more slide to each side. And then back to the center. Deep breath. And we'll turn to the left lunge at the front of the mat again.
And stepping forward. Into the concave back, folding over, and come. Big front body one. And around to namaste. Samastiti steadiness. And let's switch sides. Okay, and here we go, coming over. Big lift up, front body yawn, and diving over. Concave back, folding over. So let's take a twist here. And we will twist to the right. So maybe a block under your left hand, and we'll twist to the right. So the right arm's kind of doing a lot of pulling up, but make the twist come from the center of the body, long through the top of the head, all parts of the spine participating as they can. Trying to pull the front of the right ribs up, the back of the left down. It's a little strain on the knees or hamstrings. You can put a little bend in the knees. And coming back to the center. Other side, lengthening out long through the top of the head, twisting left. Doing all those twisting actions just like we were sitting with our legs in Dandasana on the back wall, more or less the same shape. Lengthening, all parts doing their part, sliding the ribs, breathing. And coming over. And we'll continue on. Concave back, folding over, jumping or stepping back through a vinyasa, downward facing dog. You can make up any sort of vinyasa. I did the controlled ooze just there if you were looking at your screen. And we're downward facing dog. Let's lift our right leg up. Bend the knee dog at the high fire hydrants. Through to the lunge. And we will come up in the warrior number 2, the lateral lunge. And we arrive here. We check the alignment of that right knee. And then with the left foot as well. And here we are breathing. And then let's all think of the front as the lateral side, the long side of the mat. So we're looking body straight forward toward the long side of the mat, reaching front to back of the mat, like reaching side to side. And we'll straighten up the right leg, bringing both arms up overhead, off center, 3-pointed star. Big inhale and exhale, expanding out again. Let's do that twice more. Expanding up with a breath or two, straightening that right leg, lift a little higher as we expand out again to the warrior 2. And once more like that. Lifting up and over warrior 2. And we're going to straighten up once more, bringing those arms up overhead. Turn that right foot into parallel. Lift a little higher, rotate the left leg out 90 degrees and into the warrior 2 on the left toward the back of the mat. And then arriving here, checking the alignment.
Checking in with your breath and anything else. And we'll do more or less the same thing. Straighten up the left leg, arms come up. Lift a little higher back to the warrior two. So it's a little up and over feeling. And we'll do like that twice more. Lifting up and over and extending. And once again, lift and reaching out wide. All right, one more lift. Lift even higher, making room to pivot those feet, left toes in, right go out, and into the warrior two on the right again. Reaching wide through both the right and the left side. And we'll dancing warrior, bringing that right arm up and away. And windmilling down, we're going to go to the rotated triangle. So maybe grabbing your blocks there, and we'll turn to the lunge at the front of the mat, and then straighten up both legs. Parsvottanasana. And coming up on tippy fingers of the blocks, making the spine as long and parallel to the floor as you can. And we'll twist to the right. Rotated triangle. See if you can find your twisting actions in the spine here. And then we'll bring that right arm down, bending the right knee. We'll come down to the kneeling lunge for a moment and then walk the right foot across. We're going to go into the figure four. So just sit off onto the side, not quite into the pigeon yet. And just noticing where's kind of the front, the sort of your hips, your shins somewhere, and we'll come forward. Whatever seems like a good forward. Sometimes we end up in slightly different places here with foots and knees closer to each other or further apart. And then coming up, sort of like we do from the pigeon, we'll expand out that left leg and we come into the half dragonfly with the right leg bent. And if the right leg needs to straighten out, you can always do it as the straddle, straightening out the right leg. All right, let's twist to the right again. Deep breath. Left hand onto the left leg behind you, coming over in Parvrita Janushirasana. And a couple more breaths here. Coming up long through the top of the head. We'll just swing our left leg around and we're going into the cross leg Sukhasana facing the front of the mat. And we'll reach out and we'll take a side bend with the left arm coming up and over to the right. And coming up. And then we'll gather our legs in and come up into the forward bend at the front of our mat. Taking a few breaths here. A little concave back, folding over, coming up to standing, big front body yawn. And around to namaste. And around we go on the left. Alright, so big front body going up. And diving over. And then let's lengthen out on tippy fingers, maybe with the block there, and we'll take a twist to the left. And find those twisting actions in the spine. And back to the center, and we'll twist to the right. And back to the center. Jumping or stepping back through the vinyasa, downward facing dog. All right, let's lift our left leg up. Bend the knee dog at the high fire hydrant. Big inhale and exhale through to the lunge. And coming up in the warrior number 2 on the left. Arriving here, checking the alignment, breathing. All right, here we go. 3 up and out into the warrior 2s, and then an up and over. Lifting up, both legs straighten and lift a little higher. Both legs pull wide, even though it's only the left leg really moving in space. And 2, and 2, and once more. And then coming up and over, straightening up both legs, lifting higher to pivot the feet. And then reaching wide in the warrior 2 to the right toward the back of the mat. And breathing here. Right, here we go. 3 up and down. Whole body draws in and up. Whole body reaches out wide. And twice more. And then up and over. Lifting up, pivot those feet, reaching out in the warrior 2 on the left toward the front of the mat again. and dancing warrior. And windmilling down and squaring up to the front of the mat, coming into Parsvottanasana, both legs straight, using the blocks or maybe tippy fingers to make that spine as long and flat to the floor as you can, as we twist to the left, the rotated triangle, Ardha Trikonasana, which is one of those poses that's a lot harder, I think, than it seems like it ought to be. Doing your best to find those twisting actions in the spine with everything else going on. One more deep breath. Calming down. And we'll ease ourselves down into an easeful kneeling lunge. And then walking the left foot over to the right, sitting onto the left hip. But then let that right knee bend and kind of ooze yourself into the running deer. And coming forward, wherever forward seems to be. Some of you who've done this a few times now, this running deer might notice it doesn't necessarily always come out the same. Sometimes I feel like my shin is straight in front of me. Other times, like today, it's kind of off to the side. Anyway, here we are, breathing as we are today. And coming up, and then we will get ourselves out into the half dragonfly with the left leg bent. And short twist to the left. And right hand on the right leg, reaching out, reaching up and over Parivrtta Janushirasana. Breathing yourself as easily as possible deeper into the pose. Few more breaths here. And calming up. And we'll swing the right leg around, taking a quarter turn to the front of the mat. We're in Sukhasana. Reaching out wide through the collarbones. Let's side bend, right arm up and over to the left. Up, and let's add a little Sukhasana forward bend here this time. Inhale and exhale, relaxing the face and the jaw. Now unfurling the spine. And then we'll bring those legs in, coming around and into the forward bend.
Breathing in. Concave back. Folding over, coming up to standing, big front body yawn, and we'll just suspend ourselves here. And diving over again. And let's have another little concave back, folding over, and going back to downward facing dog. And let's try that twisting under downward facing dog again. So maybe adjusting your downward facing dog stance or not. And then we'll see if we can get that left arm over to the right leg or maybe in the center of the mat. It's also a balance here, figuring out how to balance on these two legs and one arm while you're twisting to the side a little. And then we'll try the other side. And back to the center. Coming down. Sitting back in child's pose. And let's slide out onto our stomach into the Sphinx again. Pulling yourself long and flat against the and coming down, we'll interlock the fingers behind, giving the shoulders a roll out. So thinking almost like we're just standing on our toes back there. A little lengthen up the front of the body. So don't lift the upper body too far yet. Let's do one leg at a time. Let's lift that right leg up, making it really straight. So it might feel kind of like your foot's actually trying to press down. You want to lift with the back of the thigh more than the foot. And then come down, and we'll lift the left leg up, making the leg really straight, pulling up with the muscles on the front of the thigh. And if you often have a little bend in the knee, it will change how it feels in the back of the leg, and you might even feel like your foot's coming down. Coming down. Let's release the hands for a moment. Being easeful on your chin, forehead, or side of the head. And then we'll come up and lift both legs, re-interlock those fingers, roll the shoulders out, lengthen and lift. Let's deliberately take a little bend in both legs, not big, just like 30 degrees, and then straighten it out again. Feet kind of go down and you're trying to press the backs of the thighs up even more, and you're trying to breathe, and we'll release the hands into Salavasana. So maybe your toes, like mine, are touching the floor again at this point, but they're pretending they're not. Coming down. Let's peel ourselves up and we'll do a few cats and cows. Alright, and then finishing with this, let's make our way down onto our back. And we'll do the figure four, or any other thing that you, oh, let's do a bridge pose first, actually. Let's get the bridge pose in here. Another little back bending thing. Alright, so getting the feet lined up, or you could do the bridge pose on the block if you would rather do that. And from wherever we are, our pelvis is going up in the air somehow. The front of the hips and thighs are opening up to the ceiling. And breathing. And you feel your breath through the whole body. And then rolling down vertebrae by vertebrae, landing back on the floor and or taking the block out. You could stay on the block if you wanted. Let's figure four, crossing the right leg over, reaching through the triangle. So if you're on the block, you can actually do the figure four with that block still under the sacrum. It'll give you a little boost up. You might be able to put your shin on your forehead. All right, here we are somewhere. Breathing into our body, into what needs breathing into, but also what feels good. And sometimes those are the same things. And then we will switch sides. And setting the legs down and into Shavasana. Ah. Inhale and exhale. And breathing back into your body, into the room. Moving the fingers and toes, getting the circulation going. Stretching the arms up overhead. Bend. And gently make your way up to sitting. Sitting in any comfortable position with a long and spacious spine. Taking another moment, sitting quietly inside yourself. Namaste. Thank you for coming. Oops, that's not what I meant to do. Oh boy, the tech world eludes me.